The training begins. The sky above the military base was a strange color, half green, half orange, on this distant planet called Cora 7. The training yard buzzed with noise as soldiers from different worlds practiced together. Among them stood a human named Leo. He was strong, quiet, and known for staying calm even in the toughest fights. Leo had been told that today he would meet his new sparring partner. She wasn't human. She was a Beastwoman from the Tarlac race, a group known across the galaxy for their strength, speed, and sharp senses. The Tarlacs were taller than most humans and had fur-like skin, sharp claws, and strong tails. They were fierce, proud warriors. Leo waited near the edge of the training ground. That's when he saw her. She walked toward him with long, confident steps. Her dark eyes studied him like a hunter looking at prey. Her name was Mira, and she looked like she had already judged him weak. "So you're the human," Mira said with a smirk. Leo simply nodded. "You don't look like much," she said, crossing her arms. Leo smiled a little. "You'll find out soon enough." They stepped into the ring, and the rest of the soldiers backed away, eager to watch. At first, Mira moved fast. She swiped at Leo with her claws, testing him. But Leo was calm. He blocked, stepped aside, and countered her attacks. She expected him to be slow, but he was fast, faster than she had thought. Mira growled. "Not bad. For a human." "You're not bad either," Leo replied, ducking under a powerful kick. The match grew intense. Claws met fists, feet met steel. They fought like equals. Every move was measured. The crowd cheered as dust rose in the air. Mira leaped, her tail swinging. Leo caught it mid-air and brought her down with a solid move. But he didn't hurt her. He stopped just before slamming her into the ground. She blinked up at him. His hand was near her chest, but he pulled back. "You held back?" she asked, breathing heavily. "I don't need to win. Just train," he said simply. Mira lay there for a moment, her pride bruised more than her body. Then she laughed, a deep, surprising sound. "You're different," she said, accepting his hand as he helped her up. From that moment, something changed. They trained every day. Sometimes Mira won, sometimes Leo did. But they both started learning more than just combat. They talked, they laughed, they challenged each other not just with fists, but with words and ideas. Mira had always thought humans were weak, but Leo didn't act like he needed to prove anything. That made her curious. One evening, after a long day of training, Mira sat beside Leo outside the base, watching the twin moons rise. "Back home, my people respect strength," she said, "but they don't understand peace. You fight well, but you don't seem angry." Leo looked at the sky. "I fight so I don't have to be angry. Fighting is just a tool." Mira was silent for a moment. Then she looked at him, not like a rival, but like someone trying to understand something new. "Maybe," she said softly. "I came here for training, but I think I found something else too." Leo looked at her, puzzled. "Like what?" Mira didn't answer. She just smiled, and for the first time it wasn't a warrior's smile. It was something different, something more. The warrior's curiosity. The next few days passed quickly. Mira and Leo trained hard. Their battles were no longer about winning. They were about learning each other's ways. They shared food, stories, and quiet moments between drills. Other soldiers began to notice something different between them. The way Mira's ears twitched when Leo spoke. The way Leo would glance at her before starting a fight, like checking if she was ready. Not just physically, but emotionally. One morning, while the sun was still low in the sky, Mira asked Leo something strange. "Why don't you talk much during training?" she said, brushing dust from her shoulder. Leo shrugged. "Talking distracts me." "But you watch everything," she said. "Every move, every detail. You saw my tail drop before I attacked yesterday." "I pay attention," he replied with a small grin. "Why?" she asked, stepping closer. "Most warriors fight with noise and power, but you fight in silence." Leo looked at her seriously. Because I don't like wasting energy, and because you don't need to roar to be dangerous. Mira blinked at him. No one had ever said that to her before. She had always been taught to show strength, to dominate the space with power and presence. But Leo didn't do that, yet he always stood out. Later that day, their training took a new turn. They were assigned to team drills, simulated combat missions in a nearby forest. The goal was to capture a flag placed deep within enemy lines, guarded by drone units. Leo and Mira were placed together along with 2 others. Their mission was to break through, disable the drones, and get the flag. As they moved through the trees, Mira kept stealing glances at Leo. He moved like a shadow, quiet but confident. When a drone buzzed overhead, he didn't panic. He just motioned for everyone to stop, then pointed to a path Mira hadn't even seen. "You trust your senses too much," he whispered. "Sometimes you have to trust the silence." Mira smirked. "You sound like a monk." "Maybe," Leo said, not smiling. "But monks survive longer than hotheads." They moved as one, slipping past defenses, disabling traps. When a drone finally spotted them, Leo dove forward and took the hit to protect Mira. The blast wasn't fatal, but it threw him into a tree. "Leo!" Mira shouted, rushing to his side. "I'm okay," he coughed, sitting up slowly. Mira's claws were shaking. She helped him stand, eyes wide with something she didn't expect. Fear. Not for herself, but for him. "You idiot," she muttered. "Why did you take that blast?" "You're faster than me," he said. "If I went down, you'd still get the flag." She stared at him. "That's not the point." Leo met her eyes. "Then what is?" Mira didn't answer. She turned and ran forward, her body moving with fury. She tore through the last line of drones and grabbed the flag. When she returned, she found Leo sitting against a tree, holding his side. She tossed the flag down and knelt beside him. "You're not supposed to care that much," she said quietly. "Neither. Are you?" he replied. They sat in silence for a while, the forest quiet around them. Then Mira did something unexpected. She placed her hand gently on his. "I don't understand you," she whispered. "Good," Leo replied. "That means I'm doing something right." Mira laughed. It was a soft sound, nothing like her usual warrior tone. Something was changing, and both of them knew it. The line between training and something else back at the base, Mira kept thinking about the moment in the forest, when Leo reached out to save her without hesitation. She had seen many warriors take hits in battle, but no one had done it just to protect her. Not like that, not without orders. She didn't say much that evening. Neither did Leo. They sat together near the fire pit, watching the sparks fly into the night sky. Around them, other soldiers laughed, shared stories, and passed time like any other day. But between Mira and Leo, there was quiet, the kind that felt full, not empty. Leo rubbed his shoulder slowly. The medics had patched him up, but he still looked stiff. "You're healing slow," Mira said, not looking at him. "Yeah," Leo answered. "Humans don't heal like you do." Mira turned to face him. That was still a stupid move. Brave, but stupid. He chuckled. "Sometimes they're the same thing." She shook her head, but a smile touched her lips. Later that night, Mira couldn't sleep. She walked alone to the training yard. The ground was cold under her feet. The moonlight cast long shadows. She stood there for a while, throwing punches at the air, trying to shake off the strange feeling in her chest. That's when she heard footsteps behind her. "Leo." "I knew I'd find you here," he said. She didn't stop. "Couldn't sleep either?" "No. Figured you'd want a rematch." She smirked and turned to face him. "Always." They faced off, just like they had done before. But this time the hits were slower. The moves were softer. Like their bodies were speaking words their mouths couldn't say. Mira dodged a strike, then pushed him back gently. "You're not focused," she said. "Maybe not," Leo replied. "Maybe I'm thinking too much." She paused. "About what?" He didn't answer right away. Then quietly, he said, "About how this doesn't feel like just training anymore." Mira's ears twitched. "You feel it too, don't you?" Leo asked. Mira looked away. "I don't know what I feel. I was raised to be a fighter. Feelings are distractions." Leo stepped closer. "Then why didn't you let me fall in the forest?" She didn't answer. "Why did you sit next to me by the fire every night for the last week?" Still no answer. Leo's voice dropped lower. "Why are you here right now, alone, hoping I'd follow?" Mira looked up at him sharply, her chest rising and falling. She whispered, "I don't know what this is." Leo nodded. "Me neither." They stood there inches apart. The night was quiet again, but their hearts beat loud. Finally, Mira said, "We're different, Leo. Different species, different ways. But we understand each other," he said softly. "In the ring and outside of it." For the first time, Mira didn't argue. She just looked at him, eyes softer than ever before. Then she said the words she had never said to anyone. "I don't want to train with anyone else." Leo smiled. "Me neither." They didn't need to touch. They didn't need to kiss. But something passed between them in that moment. Something real. Something strong. Stronger than claws or fists. Something more. Whispers in the ranks the next morning. Things felt different at the base. Leo and Mira still trained together, still fought like warriors. But others had started to notice the way they moved around each other. More in sync, more aware, more. "Careful," whispers spread fast. "Did you see how close they stood?" "I heard they were out training alone again." "She's a Beastwoman. He's human. That's not normal." Some found it strange. Others found it wrong. One of the officers, a sharp-eyed alien named Riven, called Leo aside during the afternoon drills. "You're getting too close to your sparring partner," Riven said coldly. Leo raised an eyebrow. "Is that a problem?" Riven frowned. "She's from a warrior race. Tarlacs don't mix with outsiders, especially not humans." Leo crossed his arms. "We're just training." Riven narrowed his eyes. "Make sure it stays that way." Leo didn't answer. He walked off silently, but the words stuck with him. Later that evening, he found Mira near the water tanks, splashing her face. "Riven talked to me," he said. She wiped her face, sighing. "Me too." "What did he say?" "That I was losing focus. That being near you makes me weak." Leo shook his head. "You're not weak." Mira's jaw tightened. "Then why does everyone act like I've done something wrong?" Leo stepped closer. "Because they're afraid of things they don't understand." Mira looked up at him. "Do you understand?" He nodded. "Enough to know I'd rather fight beside you than anyone else." Her shoulders relaxed. "Then, let them talk." Still, the tension grew. Their next training match wasn't private. It was staged for the whole base to watch, like someone wanted to see if Mira still had her edge. She stepped into the ring. Leo followed. Everyone was watching. Mira stared at him. "They want us to fight like enemies." Leo gave her a nod. "Then let's give them a show." What followed was the most intense sparring match they had ever done. Claw against knuckle, flip against block, but there was no hate, no anger, just raw skill and trust. Mira threw Leo into the air. He landed with a roll and swept her legs. She flipped back, tail swinging. He ducked, then caught her wrist and twisted, holding her in place but not hurting her. The crowd gasped. Someone shouted, "Finish it!" But Mira broke free and held her stance. "No!" Leo stood still. "It's done." They both stepped back. No winner, no loser. Just two warriors showing what real strength looked like. Discipline, control, and respect. The crowd fell silent. Later, as they sat behind the armory building breathing hard, Mira leaned her head on Leo's shoulder for the first time. "They want to split us apart," she said. "They can't," he replied softly. For the first time, Mira believed him. And for the first time, she didn't care what anyone else thought. Because, now, it wasn't just about sparring. It was about standing together, no matter what came next. The mission that changed everything. Just when the tension at the base began to settle, an urgent call came in. A supply ship had gone missing near the borderlands, dangerous territory filled with old traps from the last war. A rescue team was needed. Fast, Leo and Mira were both selected. They were dropped with a small team of 5 into a cold, rocky region filled with steep cliffs and thick fog. The goal was simple: locate the ship, recover the supplies, and extract any survivors. But nothing about the mission turned out simple. By the time they reached the crash site, the team discovered broken metal, no power, and signs of a fight. Scorch marks on the ground, blood, no bodies. "Something's not right," Mira whispered. Leo nodded, scanning the area. "Stay sharp." As the others spread out, Leo and Mira checked the back of the wreck. That's when they found movement. Wounded pilot, barely alive, hidden under falling crates. "We've got a survivor," Mira shouted. But the moment she said it, a sharp whistling sound hit the air. Then came the ambush. Unknown hostiles burst from the cliffs. Raiders, half-machine, mercenaries that scavenged dead zones for parts, weapons, and blood. They weren't supposed to be here. The mission was marked safe. The first attack hit hard. 2 members of the team went down quickly. Leo pulled the pilot behind a broken hull piece. "Mira, cover!" She moved like lightning, claws out, slashing through enemies without mercy. But there were too many. "We have to fall back," Leo yelled. "No, we protect the pilot," Mira shouted, her eyes burning with fire. They fought back to back, pushing against the tide. Mira took a hit across her arm but didn't flinch. Leo used a broken pipe like a staff, knocking 2 raiders off a ledge. When it looked like they were surrounded, Leo reached into his pack and pulled out a flash charge. "Close your eyes," he shouted. Mira didn't question. The charge exploded in a burst of white light, blinding the enemies for a few seconds, just enough time. Leo grabbed the wounded pilot. Mira cleared a path. They ran, through the rocks, through the smoke, past the dead and dying, until they reached the evac zone. A gunship was already landing. Once they were on board and the doors closed, Mira finally collapsed, breathing hard. Blood ran down her side. Leo knelt beside her. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," she said, wincing. He grabbed a medkit. Stop lying." As he worked, she watched his hands. "You never stop," she said quietly. "Not when it matters." Mira looked at him. "This wasn't just a mission. You risked everything." "So did you." Their eyes locked. And this time, Mira didn't look away. "You're more than just my partner now," she whispered. Leo paused. "You've always been more than mine." She reached out and took his hand, squeezing it. In that moment, neither of them cared who was watching. The ship flew over the broken land. Below them, the war still raged. But between them, something unspoken had finally taken root. Something strong, something real, something more. The warning they didn't expect. After the mission, both Leo and Mira were given a short rest. Their team had returned with a wounded pilot and critical supplies, but they had lost 2 soldiers. The base praised their bravery, but something cold still lingered. They were summoned the next morning to the command hall. Inside, the base commander sat with his arms crossed. Next to him stood Riven, the same officer who had warned Leo before. "You disobeyed standard extraction orders," Riven said firmly. "You stayed too long at the site." "We were protecting a survivor," Leo answered, calmly. "You risked your entire team," Riven snapped. Mira growled softly. "We brought him back. That should count for something." The commander raised a hand. "Enough. Your actions showed courage, but also emotion. And emotion, especially between soldiers from different species, is dangerous on the battlefield." Stared. "So this is about us." The commander didn't deny it. "There's talk. Too many eyes watching. You both need to separate. Effective immediately. Different squads. Different barracks." Mira stood slowly. Her voice was low but clear. You think moving us apart will stop what's already begun? This isn't a request, the commander said. It's an order. Leo looked at Mira. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. They left the room in silence. Outside, the air felt heavier. So this is it? Leo asked. Mira clenched her fists. They fear what they can't control. Maybe, Leo said, but they can't stop what's real. Later that night, Leo packed his things. He was being moved to a new unit. Before leaving, he found a small note tucked under his blanket. It said, "Meet me by the canyon ridge. Midnight." When he arrived, Mira was already waiting. The canyon winds howled around them. The stars above were cold and bright. She didn't say a word at first, just stood with her back to him, tail swaying slightly. "They want to break this," she said softly. "Whatever this is." "They can't," Leo replied. Mira turned to him. "Then tell me, what is this?" Leo stepped closer. "It started with training, turned into trust. Now, I don't know the name for it, but I know it's stronger than anything I've felt before." Mira's voice dropped. "Stronger than duty?" He nodded. "Stronger than fear?" She looked at him for a long time. Then finally she stepped forward and placed her hand on his chest. "You're not like the males of my world. You don't boast, you don't demand, you just stay." "I don't want to be anywhere else," Leo said. Her eyes softened. "Then, stay close, even if they push us apart." "I will." And for the first time, Mira let herself rest her head on his shoulder, not as a warrior, not as a sparring partner, but as something more. That night under the stars, they made a silent promise. No matter the orders, no matter the rules, they would fight for each other. More than warriors weeks passed. Leo was assigned to the Northern Perimeter Watch Team. Mira was sent to the South Operations Squad. They were never given the same mission again, but somehow they always found a way to meet. A short glance across, the training yard. A quiet moment during lunch in the mess hall, a hidden message scratched into a metal panel on the ship hangar wall. "Still here. So am I." They couldn't speak openly, but their bond didn't weaken. It grew stronger. One night, an alarm sounded through the base. A hostile force was approaching. Bigger than expected. Smarter too. The defense teams were spread thin, and the enemy was using stealth tech to avoid detection. Chaos broke out. Leo, already suited in armor, ran to his post. Mira wasn't far behind, defying orders to stay with her unit. They met in the corridor, breathless. "They're heading for the command center," Leo said. "Then that's where we go," Mira replied. They joined the central strike group, pushing through corridors filled with smoke, sparks, and falling debris. It felt like everything around them was crumbling. In the middle of the battle, Mira was pinned by a collapsing beam. Leo didn't hesitate. He threw his body under it, taking the weight. "You're going to get yourself killed," she shouted, trying to push him away. "Not before I pull you out," he grunted. Together, with all their strength, they forced the beam off. Mira was hurt, limping, but she refused to stop. They reached the command center just in time. The last wave of raiders was breaking through. Leo and Mira fought side by side, fists, claws, weapons, everything they had. Their moves were perfect, like one thought guided two bodies. When the battle was over, smoke filled the air and the halls were quiet again. The base was saved. The enemy fled. And Mira stood there, bruised, covered in dust, looking at Leo with something powerful in her eyes. "You still think this is just training?" she asked, voice shaking. "No," Leo said, stepping closer. "I think it's something I never expected. But I don't want to lose." Mira looked around at the wrecked hall, the broken walls, the pieces of a war that wouldn't end soon. Then, she took his hand in hers, strong, steady, certain. Weeks later, a message was passed quietly through the ranks. "Leo and Mira have been reassigned, together." No one argued. No one questioned. Everyone had seen the truth now. They weren't just fighters, they were a team. They were a force. And somewhere, between blades and bruises, drills and danger, the Beastwoman and the human had found something rare in the galaxy. Not just power, not just love, but something more.